Introduction to MongoDB. In this course, we will discuss the core concepts and features of MongoDB and also look at how to install on Linux and Windows. MongoDB is classified as an open source document database. You may already be familiar with the concept of open source software, but in case you are not, it means that the software can be downloaded and used freely, and as well you can readily obtain copies of the source code for inspection or even modification. A document database is a type of database that's classified as a NoSQL database. It's based on documents as the primary data type, where related bits of data aggregated together into one document. NoSQL defines a type of database which is different from traditional SQL databases. They don't store and relay data in the form of predefined tables that contain rows of data, where tables may be related to one another via primary or foreign keys, and they also do not require the use of SQL or structured query language to be able to interact with the data that's stored. Instead, Mongo uses a document data model. As mentioned, document is a single aggregated unit that brings together and holds all the info related to a particular entry. In the case of MongoDB, their documents are stored using a JSON-like format, where JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. So now, looking closer at what a document store is all about, each record is a document, and as we mentioned, MongoDB documents are JSON-like in appearance. Looking at an example employee document, you can see it's made up of a series of field values pairs. We have some fields here: name, age, and employee type, and also values Amit 28 and hourly represent respectively. But you can imagine in a real world document we might have many more fields, as many as makes sense to define an employee based on our business requirement. Once you retrieve this particular document, you have all the information you need about this particular employee. The values we are looking at here are simple data types, being strings and numbers, but values can be much more complex. They can be things such as other documents, arrays, or even arrays of documents. Meaning, MongoDB is very flexible and robust in how data can be stored. So, what are some of the advantages to using the document approach? Firstly, and likely most important, is that we greatly reduce or even eliminate the need for expensive joins. If you are familiar with SQL databases, then you know that querying for and joining data from multiple tables can easily become demanding on processors and memory, especially as the amount of data and tables increases over time. The document approach reduces the need for such joins and as such reduces query time. Next, the document approach allows for a dynamic schema that is unstructured and can be changed, added to, or removed from on the fly. This is very unlike the SQL approach, where the schema must be defined and fixed up front before we begin adding data. Because document databases support working with unstructured data on the fly by way of dynamic schemas, they tend to easily support storing of new data and also searching of unstructured data in an efficient manner, which is a huge benefit for modern day applications that tend to deal with lots of data. The last advantage we will touch on is that with the document approach, uh, with the document approach, documents often correspond more closely to the native data types. You would see in programming languages, when documents are stored, they look very much like the data we work with in application, meaning that as developers we require less logic to go back and forth and converting between stored data and the actual objects we are working with the within the app.